Hello there, my name is Hernandez. I'm the Global Coordinator of Break Free from Plastic. Break Free from Plastic is a global movement working together and campaigning to end plastic pollution for good. This movement was founded in the Philippines in 2016, and from a handful of organizations, we have grown to more than 1,800 organizations globally. We are present in more than 120 countries worldwide, and we have thousands and thousands of individual supporters. And these are members who agree with our vision and our approach to the plastic pollution crisis. As you know, the world right now is facing a tremendous plastic pollution crisis. Break Free from Plastic differs from other organizations or other coalitions working on the plastic pollution crisis. And one major distinction is that we look at the problem in a holistic manner. So we're not just approaching the plastics issue from the waste angle, but we are looking at it from across the supply chain, meaning to say from the extraction, where it starts as fossil fuels and petrochemical processing components moving towards manufacturing, consumer use, disposal, and then pollution in the environment and in the oceans in particular. So we look at this every stage of the plastics life cycle in our approach to this issue. We are not just merely looking at this as a waste problem. We are not just looking at this as, for example, an ocean pollution problem, but something that is intrinsically linked to what we're calling the linear economy, which is the extract, use, and dispose model. And when we campaign against plastic pollution, we are effectively also campaigning against the linear economy and wanting to convert and transform that into a circular economy. Our strategy to combat and end plastic pollution has different pillars or different components to it. One is, of course, we want to promote real alternatives, real solutions to the problem. We are not talking here about recycling. Recycling has a part in addressing the problem, but if you look at the whole track record of recycling, since the onset of plastic production in the 1950s, less than 10% of all the plastic that's been produced since the 1950s has actually been recycled, and a great majority of the plastic that was produced then is still with us today. They have ended up in our landfills, they're contaminating our oceans, they're contaminating our food supplies, our food chain, and a fraction of it has also been incinerated, which is to say it's been transformed into toxic air pollution. That's probably created some illnesses or health deficits for some communities or some people. So part of our strategy is really to promote solutions to single-use plastics in particular. A great percentage or portion of the plastics being manufactured today really is dedicated for packaging, and unfortunately most of that packaging is single-use, single-serve, throwaway packaging. And we would like to challenge companies in particular who are producing this type of packaging to shift to alternative systems, alternative ways to deliver their products and deploy them to the market without causing problems associated with plastic pollution. So that is the challenge that we are throwing at the companies, particularly the fast-moving consumer goods companies, to really come up with alternative systems. And by alternative systems, we mean refilling systems, reuse systems, and to move away from throwaway packaging. At a more, shall we say, at a more organized level, let's say at the city level or municipality level, we are also promoting zero waste programs or zero waste cities. So we have model cities in Asia, Pacific, in Europe, also in the United States that are demonstrating how zero waste programs can actually work. And these zero waste programs also encourage the shift or the move away from throwaway plastic packaging. At the same time, we want, as part of a key part of our global strategy, is to challenge many of the narratives or the myths that are floating out there around plastic. For example, that plastic is simply a waste management issue. As we've said, if you look at the entire supply chain of plastic, from production all the way to disposal, it presents different problems along the way. So it's not simply a waste management issue. Another myth is that this is a consumer's issue, that individuals are responsible for creating this problem. That, the reason that we have this crisis is because you and I, as citizens, we do not care about the planet. We just throw things, out in the open, out in nature, and create this waste problem. But that's not the real story. That's not the whole story. Because even if you manage to put your plastic waste or scrap into, say, the proper waste bin, it will still be a problem. Because this type of material, particularly the throwaway multi-layer packaging material, they are not meant to be managed. You cannot do anything with it. They cannot be recycled. And that's the reason why nobody bothers to collect them, and they end up polluting our environment. And finally, there's one thing that we need to understand. There is this inextricable link between the plastic crisis, plastic pollution crisis, and the climate crisis. Both are actually spawned by our dependence on fossil fuels. Not many people realize that 99% of all plastics produced, manufactured, and used out there are derived from fossil fuels. So keep in mind that every time you use single-use plastics, throwaway plastics, you are, in essence and in effect, contributing to the climate crisis. So every single-use bottle that you use, whether that's single-use cutlery, sachets that we use for our various products, they all add up and they contribute to the climate crisis. And if you look at the entire supply chain, once again, when you dispose of this plastic waste materials, when they end up in landfills, or even when they end up polluting our oceans, our mountains, our rivers, they will inevitably contribute to the climate crisis. So if you're concerned with the climate crisis, if you're concerned with the impact of plastic pollution on wildlife, on marine life, on birds, on our health, on our food, then we need to break free from plastic.